Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we discuss agricultural stress and some help that's available with Kelsey Olsen, who is the Kansas Deputy Secretary of Agriculture. We'll also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission, Kansas Department of Agriculture, and Kansas Grain Sorghum, along with the weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinon. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers, Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org, and the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. In agricultural news, Walmart announcing plans to build its first ever fully owned and operated case-ready beef facility in Olathe. The retailer will invest $257 million in the plant and create 667 new jobs. The 330,000 square foot facility set to break ground sometime later this year, with expectations of being fully operational by 2025. Now, once open, the facility will package and distribute products from Sustainable Beef LLC. That is a new rancher-owned processing plant that's currently being built in North Platte, Nebraska. And then they'll go to Walmart stores across the Midwest. Now, last August, you might recall, Walmart announced it would acquire a minority stake in Sustainable Beef, which is expected to be up and running sometime late in 2024. They'll be processing some 1,500 head per day and up to 100,000 head per year when fully operational, that according to Walmart. The shopping habits of their customers, they say, have evolved over recent years, and with more seeking greater transparency when it comes to the supply chain and even higher quality offerings at affordable prices. The retailer feels that the case-ready facility will increase the needed capacity in the beef industry, then allow them to keep up with their customer demand. Well, USDA is now accepting nominations already for county committee members. Those local elections will occur later this year, and the county committee members make up a key important role in decision-making on how federal farm programs are administered at the local level. All nomination forms for the 2023 elections need to be postmarked or received by the local farm service agency no later than August 1st. If you're an ag producer who participate or cooperate in USDA programs or reside in an LLA, that's that area that is up for election this year, could be nominated for candidacy. Now, nationwide, more than 7,700 dedicated members of the agriculture community serve on FSA county committees, and they are made up of 3 to 11 members serving 3-year terms. And according to Oklahoma State University Extension livestock market economist Dr. Darrell Peel, recent improvements in the remaining drought regions of the central and southern Great Plains likely means that herd liquidation is ending. Now, he said, although lingering drought in some areas still is a concern, the arrival of El Nino likely means that any additional impact will be minimal. And with this in mind, Peel expects the January 1, 2024 cow herd level to be at the low form, which the industry will then rebuild. The first step to stabilizing the cow herd, though, is a reduction of beef cow slaughter and a lower rate of cow culling. Now, following record culling in 2022, the beef cow slaughter down 11.5% so far this year. That is a sign that herd liquidation is slowing, said Peel. He said it's expected to decrease more sharply even in the second half of this year. Stay with us. We'll talk ag stress when we return on the Kansas Ag Report. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And joining us is Kelsey Olsen, who is Undersecretary of Agriculture for the state of Kansas. Hi, Kelsey.
Good morning.
We appreciate you joining us. We're going to spend a few moments talking about one of the programs that you help administer through the Department of Agriculture, but it's so very important, and that is Kansas Ag Stress. And we'll get into that, how folks can find some things. But Kelsey, we know we have a lot of challenges in agriculture here in Kansas. Things have turned around just a bit with some of the moisture, but there's still, with all these factors going on, there's a lot of stress here in the countryside.
Absolutely. Agriculture is one of the most stressful jobs, industries out there. There's so many factors that are uncontrollable by the farmer or rancher, such as the weather, the commodity prices, whether it's hot or cold or, what have you. There's just a lot of factors that are unpredictable and impossible to control for the individual, which adds to an element of stress day in and day out.
There are a number of different sources that folks can find online and other places, but maybe go through some of those things and maybe where some of those spots that you've had a lot of reaction to, say recently.
Yeah, so there are a lot of factors that cause a lot of stress to the farmer and rancher, to the farm family, to that farm unit as a whole, whether they're employees or family members. And we saw a need to help address and bring awareness to those stresses and those factors that we as farmers and ranchers deal with on a regular basis. And we created the kansasagstress.org website. And this website basically pulls together existing resources that the state provides or different groups across the state offer to anyone really, but we've captured them in one website and focused them and geared them towards the agriculture industry.
Well, we talk about that. A lot of times people think it is farmers, but there are agribusiness, there are farm workers. There's a lot of different things, with what we've seen with livestock and some of the challenges there. We know where the crop has been. This wheat crop, we're getting underway with wheat harvest. There was a lot of angst, but maybe some optimism. But still, Kelsey, that kind of plays into the whole situation of stress. But maybe folks like me, in the back of your mind, you're going, well, yes, but.
Yeah, there's certainly farmers and ranchers don't act independently, right? Like there's a whole plethora of groups that are supporting that farmer and rancher in the background, whether it's where they get their news source or it's the discussions with their banker, and paying attention to the weather, whether those commodity prices, what are those input fertilizer prices that are going up, and talking to your co-op and locking in the best rates with your seed dealer. All those agribusinesses are support businesses that support that farmer and rancher and are really part of that decision-making group that all bring their own element of stress or engagement to those producers. So while there's a lot of independency as an individual, the day-to-day work on the farm, on the ranch, there are a lot of agribusinesses that are working to support those farmers and ranchers, but they can be an element of that stress, or they can be a relief element as well too. So it's raising awareness to that, talking about that, bringing awareness to those agribusinesses of when you're talking with a farmer and rancher, what are some signals of stress? What do you look for? When do we really need to be concerned, right? Stress is something that we deal with, everyone deals with day in and day out. But when is that stress too much, and when is it more than what somebody can handle?
KansasAgStress.org is the website. We're going to take a quick break, come back and talk more about some of the resources and some of the things that are available. Stay with us. Back with more in just a moment. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com. And joining us is Kelsey Olsen, who is the Undersecretary of Agriculture for the state of Kansas. We're talking KansasAgStress.org, one of the programs that the department administers, and Kelsey is one of those that has been since the onset of this in the last couple of years. But Kelsey, when we talk about stress, probably none greater than farm safety, especially this time of the year. We're out doing a number of different things, finishing up planting, cultivating, harvesting, trying to get a lot of things done. And if we're stressed to get all those things done, maybe we try to cut corners, or we just got to go, and boy, got to be safe on the farm.
Absolutely. Farm safety is a really important thing to talk about. Whether we're short on sleep, we are rushing to make decisions. We can never do anything in haste, because farm accidents are very real. We're dealing with chemicals, we're dealing with large equipment, and it's of the utmost importance to practice farm safety, to make sure that you know the equipment that you're operating, have the proper protection equipment on you if you're using chemicals or pesticides. And it's important to talk about farm safety and being cognizant of the dangers around us on our farms and ranches.
Now, Kelsey, I understand part of that safety as well is something that you all have identified that just as a matter of safety, you have some gun locks available to Kansas residents as going to be safe for just general overall purposes.
Absolutely. So if you go to KansasAgStress.org website, the first thing that pops up is a box that invites Kansas residents to request up to 3 gun locks. Firearms are very prevalent and a common culture in our farming and ranching communities and industries. And so we want to make sure that promoting firearm safety is first of mind as well. So you can apply to get some gun locks. We'll mail those out to you free of charge. And we want to just ensure that firearm safety is something that we are actively practicing. And I think it's important to note here too that according to the CDC, farming, fishing, forestry industry is one of the highest industries with suicide rates. And so if there are firearms in the home, in the household, having those under a lock and key, under a gun lock of some sort, just creates one more small barrier to somebody who might be considering causing harm to themselves or others with that firearm.
Kelsey, I know on the website, the suicide prevention hotline, other hotlines are right there on the front page. If folks want to try to find somebody to talk to, or just try to make that initial contact, a lot of good information, easy to find. And also, folks may have heard a radio commercial that you all are putting out on many of the stations that are on the members of the Kansas Broadcasting Association about the website and that you're not alone.
Absolutely. We received the Kansas Department of Agriculture received a grant that allowed us to help promote the website and to draw some attention from the public to the website. And so I hope that your listeners are seeing those ads on TV or hearing them on the radio that promote the website and really redirect them to the resources that we put out there. You mentioned the hotlines. There are hotlines. There's a an ag stress hotline that we partner with our regional states on that has individuals who are familiar with farming and ranching. So if you want to talk to somebody that is familiar with the industry, that is a great option. The state of Kansas also put the infrastructure in place to utilize the 988 hotline. That's the suicide hotline. That's a nationwide hotline similar to our 911 calls, right? There's a call center within the state that manages that, and they can put you in touch with resources that are available, and talk an individual through difficult situations in the moment. And as well as there are we've partnered with Kansas Corn, as they have identified some mental health providers across the state who have ag backgrounds, and we're calling them, ag aware providers. So you can go onto the website, look in your area and find a mental health provider if you want to talk to someone in person who also has that background in agriculture and an experience, and understands the daily challenges of farming and ranching.
It is kansasagstress.org, so you can find lots of information there. Kelsey, again, thank you so much for spending some time on talking about this important topic.
Great. Thanks for having me today.
Kelsey Olsen is Undersecretary of Agriculture for the state of Kansas. Department of Agriculture has joined us. We'll have more coming up here in just a moment.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Seeing is believing when it comes to international soybean buyers understanding the quality of soybeans grown in the U.S., even here in Kansas. The Kansas Soybean Commission has welcomed various trade teams to the office and out on soybean farms in the first half of 2023. Through the U.S. Soybean Export Council, or USEC, buyer delegates from Morocco visited Kansas in early June. The group checked out emerging soybeans on Commissioner Lance Rezak's farm and discussed technology on the farm, sustainability, soybean quality, and more. The group also toured the IGP Institute facility and the feed mill at Kansas State University. 3 Moroccan delegates who made the trip were representatives of businesses the Kansas Soybean Commissioners visited on their 2022 international marketing trip to Morocco. A separate group of buyers coordinated by the World Initiative for Soy and Human Health visited Kansas to strengthen their trade connections. These delegates hailed from Cambodia, Ghana, and Senegal, and represented various segments of the soybean supply chain. Reliance on agricultural imports comprised much of the discussion. As they work to grow their domestic aquaculture supply, Cambodian representatives shared that the country still relies on fish and soy meal imports from neighboring Vietnam. The Senegal representative shared that his country is reliant on poultry and animal feed imports to fortify their food supply. These trade visits followed 2 forums with delegates of the Henan province in China. The Henan province shares a sister state relationship with Kansas and in recent years has begun purchasing direct soybean shipments from DeLong Grain in Kansas. Just over half of U.S. soybeans are exported and make their way around the world. Relationships with international buyers are key in fulfilling those exports.
Rural families are built different, but life isn't always easy.
Mental health would be kind of like bankruptcy. If you don't take care of it first, it could spiral downward. There is help out there, and to reach out and get help before it's too late.
There is help. Talk to a family member or your doctor. Text or call 988. Above all, don't suffer in silence. For more resources, visit kfb.org/Rural Minds Matter.
Kansas agriculture has a beauty like no other, and we love to acknowledge and appreciate that beauty whenever we talk about Kansas ag. And while that beauty can't be fully captured with a camera, we encourage you to try in the Kansas Department of Agriculture's annual photo contest. I'm Heather Lansdowne, Director of Communications at KDA, and I'm excited to share this year's photo contest categories, which were selected to promote different aspects of Kansas agriculture. The 4 categories are Farm Fresh, Technology in Agriculture, Kansas Critters, and Kansas Life. These categories allow you to showcase Kansas agriculture in many ways: the various products of our labor that feed our local communities, the scientific and technological advancements that increase efficiency and value, the many animals that play a role in agriculture, and the overall beauty of Kansas agriculture and what it means to live in this scenic state. In addition, there's a separate youth division for young photographers under age 19. And for the 3rd year of video category, we'll welcome drone footage, harvest videos, or other short clips of under 30 seconds that showcase Kansas agriculture. Entries for the photo contest are being accepted from now through August 22nd. In September, all the entries will be posted on KDA's social media sites, and then the winners of the KDA photo contest will be chosen by votes on social media platforms and by leaders in Kansas agriculture. Winners in each category will receive prizes, and a few of the top photographs will be selected to be displayed in the KDA building in Manhattan. Guidelines for the contest can be found at agriculture.ks.gov/photocontest. I look forward to seeing this year's entries and to finding ways KDA can share the photos all year long as we tell the story of Kansas agriculture.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Hi everyone, Maddie Meyer, Director of Programs for Kansas Grain Sorghum here to provide you with the recent drought outlook information for sorghum acreage as we gear up for the 2023 planting season. The past couple of weeks has really brought on much needed moisture across the state, especially out west. Reports of over 2 inches of rain in the Dodge City area the week of May 15 was definitely something to highlight, and that rainfall is really going to be beneficial for our growers. In fact, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor website, we've seen drought conditions improve from exceptional to extreme drought by 6%, so it's relieving to see things improve in that regard. Earlier this year, the USDA had reported that sorghum farmers will plant just under 6 million acres in the sorghum belt, which means that acres would be down 5% when compared to 2022. However, as we hope to continue to get more rain to pull us out of this statewide drought, there continues to be many factors looking out for the sorghum crop that could hopefully increase acreage, especially when we remember its drought-resistant properties and its use in livestock feed, and more specifically, dairy cattle. In a Seed Today article that was published earlier this spring, researchers at Texas A&M University found that male sterile sorghum, when included as an ingredient in silage, may be able to provide the same highly digestible fiber content as corn silage, while remaining water efficient. While the research remains in its preliminary stages, sorghum continues to be a quality option in times of drought, especially as a feed source. This would be a great opportunity, especially for farmers on irrigated land. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more Outlook information as we head into the month of June. Thank you.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Missouri state beef councils co-hosted Nutrition Adventure late last month. The 3-day event was designed to connect dietitians with producers and address beef industry misconceptions. Dietitians came to Kansas City from across the U.S., including California, New York, Florida, and Nebraska. Specific topics covered consisted of beef nutrition, the meaning of various labels on beef products, the different beef cuts available, and sustainability. Attendees also had the opportunity to participate in a food styling seminar and cooking competition where they made meals featuring flank steak. Following a tour of Tailgate Ranch near Leavenworth, the dietitians heard from a panel of producers and industry stakeholders, including Kirk Sowers with Tailgate Ranch, Sean Tiffany with Tiffany Cattle Company, Angie Simmons with Cargill, and Dan Thompson, a veterinarian and professor at Iowa State University. On a post-event survey, one participant noted they now were comfortable recommending beef because they got to see firsthand how passionate producers and those in the beef industry are about raising cattle. Attendees also reported feeling more comfortable with and knowledgeable about cattle management practices and beef nutrition.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Good morning, this is Jake McCall with Pinon Ag. We are steadily making our way into the summer growing season after a very rapid spring planting pace. Now that the majority of the crop is in the ground, all eyes will be on the weather forecast to determine this year's crop, and the market will be watching. So far, there's still a lot of ground with less moisture than would be ideal, especially in western Kansas and Nebraska. However, some relief has been found in scattered showers over the past few weeks that will attempt to replenish soil moisture where it can. Grains rallied across the board last week going into Memorial Day weekend, but from there it will largely be a weather market as we see that the U.S. is continually priced over the world market, a phenomenon demonstrated continually by poor export numbers. Cattle markets continue to march higher as we've seen an unseasonably strong cash trade for fat steers. With a large spread between northern and southern cash prices, it is likely that cattle will be trucked from south to north to fill this opportunity. In other spaces, all markets are still watching to see how the debt ceiling will be handled in D.C. While it is more than likely a deal will be reached, it is always a subject that unnerves Wall Street investors. If you have any questions or would like to discuss your marketing strategies, feel free to reach out at 888-452-8751. I'm Jake McCall with Pinon Ag, and I hope you have a safe and productive day.
That's our show. Be social with us online, KansasAgReport.net, or our social media channels. I'm Ken Rogers. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk with you next week.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.